Welcome to Sustainable Packaging with Cory Connors. I'm very excited about my guest today. He is the CEO of Bird Eyewear, Mr. Ed Bird. How are you, sir?
Hi, Cory. I'm great, thank you. Lovely to be here with you.
Thank you so much for taking some time. We were just talking about it, and you're in the south of England right now, near some beautiful beaches, you said.
Yes, yeah, a stone's throw away, it's always lovely this time of year, September. You've got the sun is low in the sky, and it's just really beautiful.
That's amazing. Please tell us about your background and just kind of how you got into this sustainable sunglasses business.
Sure. So for this, I'll definitely need to cut a long story short because
Sure.
I have a very varied background. I originally studied in gastronomy to become a chef, so
Wow.
working with food, and I guess that's where I learnt kind of a lot of creativity and artisticness, also like working with teams and kind of building things from scratch. Then from there, I moved into education, and I worked in education for maybe 10 or 12 years. I was running a large education project down here in the south of the UK, and we were running mentoring projects and things like that, reaching well over 100,000 young people across all kinds of different schools. So, but alongside those things, I've always had some kind of side hustle. And me and my two younger brothers, we've always worked on things collaboratively, kind of on the side, in the background, be it music or events or just various projects and ideas. And we'd been working on a couple of projects together, and we were learning how to design with CAD, and we were looking at materials, and we were doing a lot of work with wood and other sustainable materials. And we just almost kind of followed our intuition, and we were looking at, okay, what other things are out there that we could improve on, that we could make with our knowledge and with what we know about these materials. And almost by chance, we kind of stumbled into the eyewear industry, and we started looking at it. We saw, I guess, what we would now call a bird-shaped gap in the eyewear market. And so what we set out to do is really just create a brand and create a product that was not only really well made, but it used sustainable materials. And in some way, we wanted to create a brand and a business that did something good, that gave back to others. So a big part of our business is our kind of charity partnership, which is our Share Your Sun project. And we might talk about that a bit later.
Yes.
So we set off on this journey 4 years ago. We did all the R&D and prototyping, finding manufacturers, sourcing materials. And I guess it's a bit like kind of pulling out a tissue from a tissue box. You have just a small corner that you can see, and you give it a tug, and out comes an idea. And following that idea, you have another corner that's poking up, and then you kind of give that one a pull.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we just kind of kept following these ideas and kept iterating and improving. And before long, after a couple of years, we just had like a handful of stuff, and we'd created a brand, and we launched, and it was just it's been nonstop since then. Quite incredible, really.
It's incredible. And what makes your glasses, and should I say eyewear, as you say, sustainable?
So it's mostly around the materials that we use. So we use quite a lot of wood from sustainable sources, also using recycled aluminum, and as well as things like bioacetate. In our cases, we use cork. Our packaging is all made out of recycled materials. And we've recently developed a frame which is made out of castor beans, so where castor oil comes from.
Wow.
And so we're very soon to be launching that frame. So yeah, that's the main thing. And through that process, we can kind of keep our CO2 emissions, to a minimum.
That's amazing. I was impressed to see the cases are made out of cork. Can you speak to the packaging a little bit? Because this is sustainable packaging. Is it corrugated? Is it what kinds of materials?
Absolutely. So yeah, packaging, like the packaging element is a part of the business that really excites me.
Yeah.
And that's something that we very purposefully set out to do. So not only did we want to create a great kind of eyewear product, but we wanted every aspect of our kind of product experience to be great. So we spend as much time focusing on our packaging as we do the eyewear itself. And so like for our cases, for example, they are made out of cork, really beautiful natural material. It's harvested in Portugal. So we work with a kind of a collective of farmers there, and they harvest cork. It's typically every nine years from the trees.
Wow.
And that's it's a regenerative process. So every 9 years they'll be harvesting different trees, and obviously, so every year they'll be rotating and cycling around trees. But it's a really beautiful material, antibacterial, and it's soft and tactile, really nice. And then alongside that, we have our main shipping boxes. So they're made from recycled card, and they're a corrugated card printed with it's like a non-toxic ink as well that we use on that. Then within
really
our
like those boxes. Very nice.
Yeah, they're yeah, really nice. So we call our boxes our nest boxes. So of course it's bird eyewear, so nest boxes.
Perfect.
And inside that, our cases sit in this kind of beautiful kind of hexagonal sleeve, which is called Flexi Hex. And this is something that is made, it's made in Germany, but the cases like fit inside this kind of hexagonal kind of corrugated sleeve, and are just like really, really snug. It keeps them really safe for shipping all over the world. They're partly made out of virgin paper and some recycled as well. And probably the most exciting thing that we've developed with our packaging is our mailer bags. So we launched these just a few months ago, and we worked with a specialist manufacturer here in the UK. And these are made out of, I forget all the completely technical words and terms for them, because there's some scientific names that I can just not pronounce, but they're some kind of polyalcohol bag. But they are, if anyone is aware of the tablets that you put inside a dishwasher.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so those tablets, they'll often have like a dissolvable film on them, which when the tablet pops out into the dishwasher, the film will dissolve, and it's non-toxic, and it gets washed away. So our mailer bags are essentially kind of a next step on from that. So they're a slightly more robust version from that. They're non-toxic, but they're completely water soluble. So
wow.
So you can cut this up and put it in a bowl of boiling water, and it will completely dissolve, and you can wash it down the sink. And yeah, so just really great, really useful. We use non-toxic inks on these as well, and it basically breaks down into a kind of non-toxic biomass, which is mostly CO2. So wow. Very low carbon footprint on those. And yeah, so that's something that people can read more about on our website, and even kind of see it in action as it's dissolving in water. And for us, this has become a really good way for us to safely ship products around the world in a mailer bag that is secure and won't rip open, yeah, but is more eco-friendly and can be easily disposed of, either by reusing it or recycling it, or people can put it in the bin if they like, or they can simply kind of dissolve it using hot water.
We'll have to figure out an R word for dissolve, because that could be the next one. Reduce, reuse, recycle, dissolve. I don't know what we call it, but well done. I interviewed the team, Sam Bowie from FlexiHex, on my podcast.
Oh, great.
So you can check out that episode too. They're an amazing company, also based in the UK. I'm sure you knew that, but you guys seem to have very similar values. And so what a great partnership. Well done.
Yeah, they're based not too far from us, actually, down here in the southwest.
That's great. Are you a surfer as well? Sam and his brother are surfers, and
Yes, yeah, likewise. I think it's hard to live in the southwest UK and not be a surfer with so many great beaches and breaks around.
I had no idea. Here in Oregon, some people surf, but it's really cold. But as you know, south of us in California, it's very common. But I hadn't thought about the UK being a hot surf spot. So I've learned that
Absolutely.
from Sam
Yeah.
and you.
Yeah, it's great.
That's cool. Well, you mentioned your charity that you guys work with, Share the Sun. It's in Solar Aid. Can you speak to that? Tell us about that program.
Yeah, so that's something that we embedded in the brand and the business very early on. We knew that we wanted to be a force for good as a business. And so when we were getting started, we were looking for some kind of charity connection. And for us at the time, we started out making sunglasses. So we were thinking, sunglasses, sunshine, solar. So for us, some kind of solar light partnership, it just fit really well. So we pitched the idea to SolarAid. They loved it. And yeah, the rest is history. And working through SolarAid, what SolarAid's mission is, they work with teams across sub-Saharan Africa, mostly in places like Malawi and Zambia and Uganda. And it's basically replacing the use of fossil fuel lamps within people's homes. So there's a real infrastructure problem across Africa. There's over 600 million people that don't have access to any kind of electricity or power. And when the sun goes down in Africa, which is often, 6 or 7 o'clock, it's completely pitch black. I mean, it's really, really dark. It's right on the equator. So there's very little residual light. So it's completely pitch black. So for people living in houses, they have to try and create light. So they will burn sometimes petrol or paraffin or kerosene in these makeshift burners, or they will sometimes even burn straw inside, and they will just hold, they will hold a handful of straw and they will burn it while they're trying to cook or something, just to see what
Wow.
they're doing. And of course, doing that is highly dangerous. They all give off some form of toxic smoke. There's fire risks. If people are buying petrol or kerosene, they have to find the money to buy it as well. So working with SolarAid, really, it allows us to replace the use of those kind of toxic burners with clean, safe, renewable solar lights. I have a couple of examples with me here. So this is what a very small one looks like.
Wow.
Really, really bright, really simple. And this is what one of the kerosene kind of burners looks like. Again,
Wow.
very kind of makeshift. So yeah, so through that, we're able to have a real impact on families' lives, on children's lives that are looking to study after dark and do homework for school. They're not limited to home use, so people can use them in garages and fixing cars. They can strap them to their bikes if they're biking somewhere, or just simply walking to the market or walking to get water becomes safer because they have a light. So for us, that's just something that's been really positive. Our customers love it, and it's really embedded in the core of what we're about as a company.
It's fantastic to see companies like you take a step towards a real partnership with a great charity. So well done. Kudos to you and your team. Great idea.
Great, thanks.
So are they, is it something that every purchase, a certain percentage of profit goes to? Okay.
Yes. So it works out roughly that every pair that we sell pays to distribute a solar light out there. So to date, we've reached, it must be well over 8,000 families.
Wow.
To date. Yeah, which is amazing.
That's incredible. And that's a big number. And I'm expecting that to rise quickly as your great company grows. Good job.
Yeah, we hope so too.
So what do you see as, kind of steering back towards your packaging discussion, what do you see as the future of sustainability in packaging? You guys have taken some really great steps in buying packaging that is very sustainable, as far as I can tell. What is the next step? What do you think will improve it even further?
Well, we would love to see this kind of packaging become the norm for more companies, and that's definitely something that we are advocating. And we share within our networks. We're also a B Corp, so we work with lots of other companies in trying to kind of advocate change within industries in terms of using better packaging and trying to bring down CO2 emissions and so on. I think there are some really exciting materials on the market and exciting things emerging, much like Flexi Hex, as a direct replacement for plastic bubble wrap and so on. I think there's even more things to come. People are using like the byproducts of coffee or mushrooms. I think there's loads of innovation, and that's something that really excites us, both in our product manufacturing and also our kind of the packaging that we're shipping our product in as well.
It's a fantastic thing to think about the future of sustainability. I think about it all the time. I'm fascinated with it. Do you think that recycling will continue to improve in our world soon?
I think it needs to, in a big way. I think that's something that from a government level needs to have more inputs, and governments need to be legislating harder, I think, for recycling to become better. Because even though like our local kind of council has a really great recycling program, separating out the different types of recycling and foods and all of those kind of things. But when it goes through the system, the percentage that actually ends up getting recycled is very low. It's maybe 10%, 20% kind of maximum. So I think the government needs to really invest in those infrastructures that can firstly deal with the with the volumes of recycling that are going through the system, and then just, I guess, better avenues to process them. And so as companies start using more and more recyclable materials and start making the switch away from non-recyclable materials, that will hopefully drive that kind of culture shift as well.
I totally agree. I had the honor of going to Waste Expo in Las Vegas this year and got to see hundreds of amazing companies doing incredible things with recycling, optical sorters, and really impressive, very innovative materials coming out, like you said. So I'm excited personally about the future of sustainable packaging. Do you guys have a company called Ridwell or Recyclops or something like those there, where they come to your door and pick up recycling?
We do have a few around the UK. I can't remember their names, but I think it's quite early days in the UK, and most of those services you have to buy into them. So I think for a lot of companies, if they can get away without spending the money, they will.
Sure.
So I think that's where the kind of the government legislation being a help that will just kind of make it mandatory for for local councils to to up their recycling game, and for companies to up their kind of material use and recycling game also.
That's very exciting. I'm looking forward to purchasing some of your sunglasses, and I really want to thank you for your time today. Can you tell the audience how to get a hold of you at your company?
Sure. So people can find us online. You can search for us using Find Your Birds. So on social media, it's just Find Your Birds, or our website is findyourbirds.com. And you can read all about us, look through our styles, find out more about our story and what we're doing. We ship globally as well. So we live in a global world, which is great. It comes with challenges, but it comes with plenty of opportunity as well.
For sure. We're all in this together, aren't we?
Absolutely.
I'd like to thank our sponsor, Landsberg Aurora, for their continued support. And please make sure to tell your friends about this podcast and give us a rating so we can continue to make great episodes like this one. Thank you, Mr. Bird, for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Nice to join.
Thank you, sir.